Freedom is the right of all sentient beings.
Broadcasting live from the basement of the Pentagon. This is WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Whoa, 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 whoa. Do you ever have one of those moments where you think, how the hell did I get here? Jeez, what happened to me? I was ruling the galaxy, had a cherry new battle station. I mean, this place had an omelet bar, a straight-up omelet bar. And now look, my former interns tossing me down a bottomless freaking pit. You know, come to think of it, my whole life has been a series of what the f*** moments. That was my out.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
This is a public service announcement from C.T. Fletcher. I will not contribute to the pussification of a nation. Get your punk ass out there and work for it, motherfucker.
Let's roll.
Hell yeah. Yeah. God, what a day. It is a Monday. Broadcasting live from the Functional Veterans Center of Excellence on this 10 February 2020. Man, there is some butthurt out in the world, and I love it. You know me, I am a fire starter, the pot stirrer, the father of all frags in a latrine. Man, there is some serious butthurt out there about what's been going on, to the fact where I even got lunged at. I had a comment made at me just for defending somebody. Man, God.
Well, you know, when money's involved, tempers get flared.
Right.
It's a tough time. If in the military, there's a lot of changes happening. The budget was dropped. The president dropped his budget. The Army, the DOD dropped theirs. The Army and other services dropped their budgets, which means some people are going to cry and some people can be very happy. Just depends kind of who you are, really.
Well, my biggest thing is this. Is apparently there was a big hit that happened today that got everybody all riled the fuck up about the Stars and Stripes. We actually discussed a little bit, you and I, about what was up with the Stars and Stripes and their budget cuts and what's happening to them. I guess now there's a big cut. Do you even know what the big cut is or what everyone's making a big deal about?
Yeah, hold on one second. My computer decided to refresh. Here's the long and short of it. The publishers of Stars and Stripes, the military's editorial independent newspaper, which has been around for quite a while now, which covers objective and balanced, unique content produced by Stars and Stripes. Stars and Stripes was actually first produced during the Civil War by Union soldiers. It was later revived during the First World War and has printed regularly since World War II. And Stars and Stripes said it distributed more than 7 million copies of its U.S. weekly edition in 2019 and served an online audience of 18.8 million unique visitors. According to a story published on Monday about the proposed funding cuts, Stars and Stripes received most of its funding from sales, subscriptions, and advertising, but relies on government funding to back overseas reporting and distribution. A spokesperson of Stars and Stripes said approximately 35% of its budget is from federal funding. So it's kind of like it kind of goes back. It's almost like parallel to like the and not trying to make everyone triggered, but the Planned Parenthood, the Planned Parenthood argument that if you eliminate government funding, the place shuts down. It's just like that, and just like Stars and Stripes, the government funding is actually only not even half of their. I mean, 35% is still a good budget for Stars and Stripes, but it doesn't make up the entirety of their budget. It's not immediately clear how much funding the Department of Defense is proposing on cutting from the newspaper, or more to say the online newspaper. A spokesperson for the Department of Defense did not respond to multiple requests from CNN, MSNBC, and a couple other folks who've cited for the story. But Defense Undersecretary of Defense Elaine McCusker said, "We have essentially decided that, kind of coming into the modern age, that newspaper is probably not the best way that we're going to communicate any longer." And I 100% agree. Sorry, Stars and Stripes. It's actually a couple of our buddies that are over there in different Stars and Stripes in Europe and in the Pacific Asian theater. Hate it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the thing that kind of
great assignment if you're public affairs, but
right. But here's my question. What was the issue with it? What's going? Why is there so much drama? Why is it so much? Isn't it run by the freaking?
If you're public affairs, but
right. But isn't it run by the freaking whatchamacallits? The defense media activity, right? They run that shit, right?
To my knowledge,
yeah.
They do. It's just like everything else government ran. How much is actually being like the AFN commercials? You've seen them. How many of them are actually being watched and actually being absorbed? Same thing with Stars and Stripes. I don't remember the last time I read a Stars and Stripes article, because when you're overseas, a lot of times when Stars and Stripes comes out, there's already a PAO who's planning on writing that story anyways. So it's a lot of crossover. There's never a lot of new stuff. They do some cool stories, but in the larger scope, they're a small piece of this media puzzle, and they're just not that out there. I don't see. I see Stars and Stripes articles on Facebook. That's about it. I never go to the website. I like to think of myself as a pretty media savvy person. Like, I'm always kind of reading things and knowing what's going on. Sometimes to my mental health detriment, but I think Stars and Stripes is just kind of behind the times, which is sad because I don't know how they could fix it, and I understand why the DoD would be cutting it. We're trying to cut the fat on things we really don't need, and we're going. We're also trying to bolster stuff that we think we do need. And the DoD apparently thinks that we don't need the Stars and Stripes, and I hate to say it because I didn't want that assignment when I was active public affairs, and I'm not being spiteful about it. I just wasn't a print journalist, which they actually use. But it's a great assignment, but it's just not. I don't feel it's needed in today's media world, and I can understand why it's being cut. And it's sad because it's a historical piece.
Right. So why is it? My biggest thing is that why is everybody getting so butthurt about it? Why is my question is that why is there so much ass against removing the print side? I mean, aside from and I shot a note out to Broadcast Mike to say, hey, if you want to call the show, give us a call at 415-80, or he can always Skype us. Broadcast Mike always has a line, and General Donahoe they have a line to us all the time over to 8th Army. They can shoot the breeze with us at any time. He brought up a good point about, aside from the paywall, they have a paywall. I guess they got to make their own money too. They got to pay some of their staff. But the aside from it being free to service members overseas, what is it about exactly that, Doc? How long before the Army times, the Air Force times, and military times goes? Is it that they're too slow to advance? Is the need for that traditional media? Is it a newspaper? I mean, it's funny because Twitter and Facebook, once they know you're talking shit about closing a print paper, then the next thing you know, you start getting your feeds about. There's this one guy in California who has a small town newspaper that's saved by print. He's printed out and it's saved because he saved it. And is it the time where now print media goes, or we're just all now on electronic form? I kind of like both. I mean, everyone's like making fun of me because I hoard a bunch of manuals that I have, and I got manuals that date all the way back to the frickin' 70s and shit on how to fight, Ivan. And I kind of like collecting books and stuff like that. So is it the same thing with the Stars? Is it just like nostalgic? Is it a boomer thing? Are we booming?
According to one Twitter user, they tweeted about this. A quote, Pentagon leadership reveals it's either ignorant or deceitful. Stars and Stripes is not a tool of the Pentagon. It is an editorially independent service to provide propaganda-free news to deployed U.S. troops. After Vietnam, Congress wrote its independence into law. I don't as long as there's still soldiers writing for Stars and Stripes, I don't accept that they're totally independent. Like, it's one thing to say they're independent, but it's another thing to actually act that way. And I think as long as you have service members, it's never going to be that way. But I don't believe they're 100% like independent, editorially independent service, propaganda-free news. I don't 100% believe that. You're still writing about the news, and there's so many fluff pieces in there. Yes, sometimes they'll hit on quality of life issues, which are important, and they'll hit on some other stuff. But again, as long as they're getting funding from the government, are they really editorially independent? Are they really propaganda-free? And I'm not saying they are a propaganda machine, but they are getting money from the man. Now, if they weren't getting money from the man, they were just doing their thing, that'd be another story. So I get that they, after Vietnam, Congress wrote it,
right,
wrote it into law, but
they did. The First Amendment protection safeguarded by Congress. So I don't understand is that now it's like the European, Middle Eastern, Japanese, and South Korean editions are available as free downloads. And then there's other digital editions in the headquarters, of course, whatever. Now, going back, like you were saying, it was created in the Civil War back in 1861. My biggest thing is that is there some sort of agenda? You know me, come on, man. I like to throw the conspiracy theories in this shit. Is there some sort of agenda on this? Is there some sort of is there something to where, hey, there's no need to it. There's no need to have it, or is it like no shit? It's a actual dead medium. It's an actual dead. I mean, because don't you have copies of Stars and Stripes when you were deployed? That what your unit did or what you did downrange, didn't you?
Well, I remember. I can't say that I really read Stars and Stripes unless I was in the shitter or something. Now, here's some Stars and Stripes figures from their website. Okay, this is from 2019, so like last year. Distributed more than 7.7 million editions of our U.S. Weekly Edition. Printed and distributed about 4.2 million special publications. Delivered over 500,000 digital editions, averaging about 1,500 per day. Delivered 12.5 million screen views on our iOS and Android mobile publications.
So there's an app. So there's an app for it. There's an app for it. Then is what you're saying. You can use an app.
I think there's an app. That sounds like an app. Delivered 38 million page views on the premier Stars and Stripes website. Served 18.8 unique visitors on starsandstripes.com. Delivered over 1.7 million page views on the European and Pacific Community website. And more than 908,000 social media users follow Stars and Stripes. Okay. That's a lot of numbers, but we got to think practical about it. I don't know many. Hell, it's hard enough to get soldiers to read in general.
Damn, dude. Why are you sitting on troops short like that, man? You got to get Joe to read, man. Joe's got to read. No, but do you think that's
you
fucked
just
up?
take out the Marines because shit they can't read. You need the Air Force and Navy that are like the smarter of the branches.
Well, the Marine Edition. Yeah, the Marine Edition has a little 4-pack of crayons. It comes with little crayons, so that way they can chew on them.
In the back corner.
When they read, so they can read them.
We love all you devil dogs. We love all of you.
So the news of the cuts though were first reported by the Wall Street Journal. So there's members of the Stars and Stripes staff. You guys. Oh, by the way, if you work for Stars and Stripes, feel free to call us at WTF Nation on on Skype. On WTF Nation Radio, or call 415-889-8367. Give us a call. Drop a comment inside the chat there if you work for the Stars and Stripes, because we're curious about this, because there are some people that are really fucking getting sensitive about the fact that it's getting cut, and obviously nobody likes to know how you got your news, but I guess that was the first time that was broke was on the Wall Street Journal, and that's how a lot of the writers, I guess, for Stars and Stripes got their information, that they were losing some jobs. Is it cool to say? Am I going to get like banned or something like that if I say learn to code or something like that? Is that the what you say to reporters when they get all butthurt or something like that? Is that what you say to media people?
Well, I try not to insult the media people because they tend to say mean things when you're being mean to them.
I'm just asking, dude. My point being is that you know what? As a matter of fact, anybody from the media that worked for the Stars and Stripes. give us a freaking call. Call us. Let us understand why it's important to keep the Stars and Stripes, budgets. $12 million a year, dude. That's what they get. $12 million a year. Could you imagine if WTF Nation Radio and U.S. Army WTF was ran for $12 million a year? God, dude.
If you give us $1,000, we'd be rock
we'd be quite happy with that. So yeah, there's some serious butthurt. There's some. I've seen some Twitter is like going off. Hey, what's going on, Rotec? Everyone's.
Maybe it is part nostalgia. Like, I do feel bad because I felt bad when AFNs were getting shut down. Like when I was in Europe and we were killing AFNs left and right. We killed off AFN Honduras, so the folks out there, are sucking. When we killed off, AFN Afghanistan, even though there's still a ton of soldiers still there. Wonder why, U.S. government. And then everything else going on, it's sometimes it's just sad because it's, it is an outlet. It is a way for soldiers to keep track, but soldiers don't care about what's going on. They just care about, like, how am I going to get through today without another rip it? How do I get some more snuff? And then how do I bang that girl at the bar? Outside of that, they don't care about military operations. They don't care about even these quality of life stuff unless it's directly affecting them. They don't give a shit. So they give a shit about, like, those types of things, not like Army or real types of things. The only people who care about those are commanders. Commanders are the only ones who really care because they want to see their newspaper or see their name and unit in the newspaper and their name and quoted for something cool. That's it. I really don't, I don't know many soldiers that read this or most news because it's fake news or whatever. And you know what? I'd like to do a poll. I think WTF Nation should do a poll and see how many soldiers actually read Stars and Stripes. I kind of want to, because it's a real, like, they can put those numbers, but those numbers are, I think, are mostly, are not military members. So I think you have enough outlets where, you have enough outlets that are covering the Army and every one of our movements on a super daily basis that we don't, us putting money to Stars and Stripes when that money could go to something else, like quality of life issues and like stuff that actually affects soldiers. I think Stars and Stripes will survive off of the ads and stuff like that, or they're going to have to adapt, or they're going to go down. It's it's not like we're killing. It's not like the government's going to kill Stars and Stripes just because they're cutting some of their budget, and we don't even know how much of their budget. It does say significant, so I would not be surprised if that budget from 35% went down to like 15%. But it's they're going to have to make cuts and do what they need to do, just like every other outlet that has had to move money around or have things happen. It's sad, it sucks, but this is 2020. If you can't be mobile in the digital era, companies are going to rise and fall, and news outlets are not immune to that. Like, what was it? Like Turner Media and stuff like that, and like these other outlets that have been bought up by other people, and things that have just kind of shut down. And nothing is immune. Not Stars and Stripes. And yes, it sucks that the budget's getting cut, but a lot of other things are getting cut. Hell, they want, the Air Force wants to retire the Warthog. So all kinds of awesome things are losing money now. So it's, the Navy's cutting is like 4 of these like lateral like super ships that they made are being retired because the platforms aren't working, and they're going to try to build a bunch of other ships, upgraded ships. Like, there's trouble everywhere. I think Stars and Stripes is the least of the government's problem is fucking Stars and Stripes.
Okay, so what else happened in the budget that was released today? What what news you got?
Well, I did cover I did say the, what do you call it? The Warthog. That's kind of sad.
Yeah, what happened with that?
Hold on, I'm actually, let's see. Now, this is the lowest. This is the U.S. military budget request for Afghanistan is the lowest in a decade, and that's something big because we're still there. In case anyone, in case anyone's forgot.
What's that we're talking about? I'm sorry. Was there
with a $14 billion budget request? No, I was reading somebody commenting on the Game of Cubicles wrote, "Cut the budget and show me where it went." I don't believe they can. I get you. Like, I like to know where this money, they're like, hey, we're taking this money from Stars and Stripes and we're putting it here. I would love to see that. I'm 100% with you. With a $14 billion budget request for the fiscal year 2021, the U.S. military is set to spend its lowest amount on the 18-year-long war in Afghanistan in nearly a decade. The Overseas Contingency Operation funding request for Operation Freedom Sentinel has detailed in what the Defense Department's fiscal year, which was released on Monday. The Defense Department detailed that the OCO budget request for Afghanistan assumes a drawdown of forces. Good to know. The U.S. and Taliban are in the middle of peace talks, even though we've had some casualties. Rest in peace, guys. To peace talks to end the conflict, but negotiations have appeared to be bogged down over definitions of a potential ceasefire or reduction of violence. Hey, you guys stop shooting, we stop shooting, we leave. Cool. I understand how we're not there yet. Secretary of Defense Mark Esper said the Pentagon is considering reducing American footprint in Afghanistan from 13,000 to 8,600 troops with or without a deal. So we're just like, we're going to leave this anyways.
Of
the
course.
FY20,
Of course.
In FY20, the U.S. military spent $17 billion on the dual Afghan train and advise counter-terror mission in Afghanistan, according to the OCO request. So we're seeing some. That's a big deal. Like that's just a big deal, anyways. But the Pentagon, the whole, is asking for $705 billion in a budget. So, and they are wanting to spend some stuff. Yeah, are you ready for this? Let me drink this beer. Thank you, Dogfish Head, Dog Head, whatever. It's their 60-minute IPA. It's actually got good.
Oh, okay.
All right, ready?
Go ahead.
U.S. service members and Defense Department civilians would receive a 3% pay raise under the proposed budget, compared to the 3.1 raise in the current fiscal year. If Congress approves the proposed 3.1 increase for military pay basic and pay basic for E3 and under 2 years of service, which would increase about $735 per year. The basic pay for an E4 with over 3 years of service would increase by $902 per year. The basic pay for an E5 with over 4 years of service would increase by a whopping $1,041 per year. Now, if you're listening and you're an officer and you just don't know the struggles of trying to buy that last box of Rippets or pay for that 35% APR in your car, that money means something. About $69 billion of the proposed defense budget would be part of the Pentagon's overseas contingency operation budget, but only $20.5 billion would fund direct war requirements. Another $32.5 billion would pay for overseas bases and other enduring costs once combat operations end, and $16 billion would fund OCO for basic requirements, an ill-defined category, honestly. But that has allowed the Pentagon to get around budget caps in previous years. The proposed budget does not include emergency funding for border wall construction and to repair damages to bases from natural disasters. Congress approved $8 billion in emergency funding for the fiscal year. Let's see. The Marine Corps is expecting to cut its active duty end strength from 186,000 to 184,000. Not a crazy amount.
That's not really a hit.
It's not like a super cut.
Yeah.
Institutional change and divestment decisions are based on long-term view of where they want the Marine Corps to be in the next 5 to 15 years. The Army is expecting to finally evaluate prototypes of the next generation squad weapon, what I'm reading is coming actually from our friends over at Task and Purpose. So make sure you give them a like. They're great people to listen to.
You mean you didn't use Stars and Stripes?
I don't know if you know what, I should have checked to see if they covered this. And our jackasses are cutting us too. Well, I'm reading this. This comes from Task and Purpose, but also if you go on Task and Purpose YouTube page, they also they have this great video, not only talking about the replacement for the M9, but they actually talk about which weapons are in the pipeline are being tested. The prototypes being tested by the Army. They're down to 3 right now, so definitely head over to Task and Purpose's YouTube page and check that out, and that'll give you a better idea of what to expect. There's some pretty cool ideas in there.
Yeah, they do. Well, I like the fact that they're using the SIG, man, for to replace the pistol, man. It's awesome. I'm
a big fan of that. And so the next generation squad weapon and the integrated visual augmentation system in fiscal 2021. You've been seeing a lot more of that in the Army.
What's up, Josiah?
Which is pretty cool. It's a new way of training.
Now, here's the thing. With that expansion of that, how are they going to do that to have the infrastructure for it? Are they increasing infrastructure with like better housing and shit like that, or better installation structure? How are they going to, what's their plan for that? Did they discuss that at all in the budget?
Let's see that. I'm gonna keep going down this list, and hopefully we'll get to
my
that.
bad.
I don't
Go ahead.
see anything off of some of the big highlights that they got. Let's see. The Navy plans to buy 1 Virginia-class submarine and 2 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers. That is 1 less submarine and 1 less destroyer than the service had planned to buy. Budget documents show the Navy wants to have a total of 355 ships by 2030, and there've been talks about that because because they are retiring 4 of those new crazy like futuristic looking ships.
Yeah.
They're retiring 4 of them because they just frankly don't work, and their platform is just not going to work. So people are wondering how they're going to hit 355 ships by 2030, and there has been some talk that they're going to build smaller ships like salvage ships and other ones like that that'll kind of be cheaper, easier to make, but are a requirement and necessary. The Air Force wants to buy 12 F-15EX fighters as it retires its older F-15C and F-15D fighters.
I was about to say, it's so cool that the F-15 is still hanging in there, man. That's a workhorse right there.
Their variants are just like, oh, we're gonna stay in here, and it makes targeted reductions to its fleet of B-1 bombers and MQ-9 Reapers. The budget documents say. Meanwhile, the Air Force wants to modernize the A-10 fleet so it can keep flying missions. Hell yes. The Pentagon also wants to transfer $15.4 billion from the Air Force to the newly created Space Force. Air Force, no new chairs for you this year.
I was about to say, yeah. What's up with the Space Force stuff, man? I want to see some
people whose golf membership is getting canceled.
Doc, what are you talking about? Replace it. Hang on, real quick.
Space Force needs it.
Well, we got Doc saying that they should leave the Beretta alone. Why replace it with foreign-made junk? Do you realize that SIG is also built in the States? They also have SIG Sauer USA and a SIG Sauer overseas. The same thing. It's a licensing just like with fucking Beretta. Beretta's the same thing. It's
M9 is a horrible platform.
Yeah.
It's big, it's bulky, and damn, it doesn't shoot that well.
No,
I'm sorry. I get you, American made all the way, but
it's not American made. It's a Beretta, dude. It's made in Italy. It's made in Italy, dude.
Fucking Italians can't even shoot straight, anyways. No wonder they gave us the M9. The Pentagon. So they want to transfer the 15.4 to Space Force. Space Force. Nearly $10 billion would fund personnel costs. Another $1 billion would go towards building the Space Force headquarters and field centers, which are expected to accommodate roughly 1,800 personnel by the end of fiscal 2021. Trust me, if a public affairs Space Force comes up, I will be in it. I will apply, and Flash will be gone into space.
That's right, Pip. They should bring out the 45. No, you're right. A Space Force, I wouldn't mind going in as a GS or an SES for some Space Force PAO comm stuff. I talked to some people about doing some PAO work possibly now. And
Space Force janitor at this point.
I'll be the Space Force slide flipper. What are you talking about? Next slide. Roger that. Next slide. What do you do at the Space Force? I'm a slide flipper. I'm an image specialist. I'm an imagery. Or what would you call it? A visual information specialist. What does that do? Isn't that the old Comcam? No. That's a slide flipper. You flip slides. Go ahead.
Okay, so
go ahead.
For the nuclear triad, the Defense Department's budget request includes $1.5 billion to develop new intercontinental ballistic missiles to replace the Minuteman III nuclear missiles, and another $2.3 billion on early warning satellites. Now, again, this comes from Task and Purpose reporter Haley. Damn, I hate to say
Haley Brisky.
Brisky?
Yeah, I think that's right. She's gonna shoot me.
Right,
yeah.
Haley. I'm sorry if I mess up your name, but yeah, it's contributed to the story. So we appreciate everyone from Task and Purpose doing a great job bringing this all together. It's a lot. I mean, it's a lot of stuff. The total request for the Army is $178 billion, which is a slight reduction from last year, $182 billion top line. But it also includes $153.1 billion in base budget and $24.9 billion overseas contingency operations. We've kind of talked about that already. The service freed up $9 billion for its modernization cross-functional team efforts in the future years defense program, according to the budget documents. And then one spokesman told the reporter that the Army found $13.5 billion for modernization and found $13.5 billion for modernization in total, which is a lot. I mean, it's a big thing of the Army's pushing. It's a lot of stuff you're seeing on social media right now. from different units across the Army, including the Army itself, is modernization. The different vehicles, the different tanks, they're trying the different vehicles. The new Bradley variant did, kind of went down the drain. But these new weapon systems, these new training systems. I heard something about like a battery that's like near indestructible that can be in like high intensity heat, and really fucking cold, which is really awesome. But in 2021, the service wants to procure 1,900 joint light tactical vehicles and 1,300 accompanying trailers. So watch out, motor pools. You get new vehicles.
Motor Stables is getting better. We're modernizing Motor Stables with lethality.
A spokesperson said, you look at the Navy, they're slashing their shipbuilding. The Air Force cut their F-35 buys, and they've all tried to keep their R&D budgets fairly high, which kind of suggests that somebody at the Office of Secretary of Defense was pushing for that kind of outcome. For science and technology, it suggested that the service made most of the big moves last year and is using this year's budget to refine those efforts. 79% of the science and technology funding request is being put towards modernization priorities, according to the budget documents. The total request for S&T is $2.6 billion.
Oh wow, dude, that's.
And there's also talk about a hypersonic weapon.
I was about to say,
just one of the Pentagon's top priorities.
Yeah, I'm about to say, what's up with that? Because apparently Ivan has the now has the tech and now has the ability to do the to do that.
Well,
now.
I'm hearing some of that's bullshit.
I was about to say, is it for real?
They have like I've heard different things. Like they've got a functioning weapon. I've also heard that it's dog shit, and they can't shoot the side of a barn. But the Army plans to fire test shots in 2022 and field combat rounds in 2023. Is working with other services to develop a long-range hypersonic missile and wants $800 million in RDT&E funding for that effort. Additionally, the service wants an end strength of 485,000 active duty soldiers, almost 190,000 reserve soldiers, and 336,000 National Guard soldiers, which signals a reduction in its plans to grow the force. So remember, we had the slashing and we were pushing soldiers out, and now where it's like we're building it back up and we're missing goals, we need to get more people, and now they're like, hold up, maybe we don't need like everybody. So it's funny watching like the ebb and flow of how many people the Army and the DoD feels that the Army should have, as well as like the Marines, which we talked about, is working to reduce their force. To me, I see it as kind of cutting the fat. Like you got some soldiers that are just like people who are stuck in retirement or in retirement limbo. Like they don't want it. Their people won't let them go, but they're kind of stuck there. And they
oh my god, dude, that's the worst thing that's happening right now is we have these bloviated commands. There's commands out there that use IMTOs from the line, and the units got to suffer, and they just don't have enough people. So you'll have these large headquarters that are being built. And then they'll have a unit templated over it, and they'll take a battalion or even sometimes a BCT to grow that headquarters. And then once that freaking FDU gets done, or once all the manning gets handled, then at that point, then that's when that unit goes away. Dude, the shell game. Someone explained to me how that works. Holy crap, dude! It's unreal how the Army gets away with it, that big shell game, and then complain about not having enough people. But then you look at the units, they still don't have enough people because they're supplementing those headquarters with those bodies, man. It just sucks.
It really is. It is funny how they just find this money to go to different things. So we're gonna see more of this, though. Excuse me. Time for another beer. You're gonna see more of this because we realize that I think the feeling is that the military is just behind. Indeed. And that these modernization pieces, like how we train, how we shoot, like every bullet, everything we do needs to be upgraded because we're fighting the 1980s war in 2020. We're behind a lot of these things where other countries, while they don't have as big of a military, bigger ships, and bigger tanks, but they have more. Some of them are more high tech. They're working on how to win the future fight, and we haven't been doing that. But you have seen in the last 5 years, especially in the last 2 years, the big push to really not only push these projects, but actually publicize that they're being pushed. Not always to great success, like the replacement for the Bradley fighting vehicle. They kind of scrapped that, but that's also because apparently there's only like one person like left. There was a couple people who were in the bidding war. One of them didn't meet the requirements. Two of them dropped out because they thought the military's requirements were just like, and I can't make a vehicle that has this much armor, but it's supposed to be this light. It's just, the math isn't lining up. And so like it looked like only one or two bidders like actually put forth a effort for a prototype, and the Army decided, okay, we're just going to scrap, and hopefully they're refining what they want in a future fighting vehicle.
That's the thing too, that the Army didn't have a solution for that. I'm like, what happened to the Striker? What happened to the new airborne LAV stuff? Because now armor's back in airborne, baby. Now they're parachuting armored vehicles, LAVs.
Don't forget. Hope you remember. You probably won't remember. An article actually came out saying that tanks actually are a better deterrent than our paratroopers and you flying folks. So I'm just going to put that out there.
You tanks, flying folks, I find that offensive. I'm triggered now.
Sorry, you're falling with style, folks.
You're aggressing me right now. You're aggressing me. Do I need a code? Do I need to learn how to code? I'm purposely triggering. I'm aggressing people right now. I'm aggressing.
Recruiter Time says election year, cough cough.
You ain't lying, man. Let's get into that. Oh wait, we only got like 15 minutes before we have to take a break. So let's go back to this article about what was that article, that blasphemy that you speak of about armored forces being better than airborne or some shit like that?
Now I need to find it now that I mention it.
Yeah, I was about to say that there's, I think it was Small Wars Journal or something like that, or maybe Doctrine Man might have posted up on his digits. Hey, what's up, Doctor Man? Long time ago.
Here we go.
Yeah, go ahead.
It's actually coming from Stars and Stripes.
No way. Well, let's give him.
I'm going to cite John Van Diver.
There you go. Let's give him some love. So,
according to this article, ground troops based overseas with tanks and artillery are better at preventing conflict than their light infantry counterparts. Air fucking.
They said light infantry. They never said anything about airborne. But go ahead.
Well, isn't airborne light infantry?
No, airborne is airborne is a way of life, not a badge like air assault. Go ahead.
Whatever. Do you have a Snuggie made out of your red beret? Is that what's going on? A study said after examining more than 70 years of military deployments to determine what best deters adversaries. So, hey, we're going to broadcast we know what pisses you guys off. So, we're in this report, understanding the deterrent impact of U.S. overseas deployments, the research group RANCOR also found that when the military surges forces towards a flashpoint, it's rare for fighting to break out. Despite these risks, the historical record suggesting that very few crises escalate when the United States deploys forces to a crisis region. These effects are particularly strong for ground forces where no crisis has escalated to major complication of war, and for air forces where only one crisis has escalated, the report said. So I kind of remember when Iran was a flashpoint, and we sent the many folks over for the 82nd.
Yes.
Hey, guess what?
On New Year's Eve. But why? But they were there. They got sent.
Oh, here's this thing. Sergeant Tripe says I have 4 articles left before I have to subscribe. Fuck you guys.
Well, oh man, that's messed up. See, we're trying to give them love, and now they're just kind of like. But my big thing is this.
It's not as bad as like New York Times, where like you click on the article and it gives you like the first like half a paragraph, and then like it blocks out the rest of it. I'm like,
right.
Give me 4 articles.
In my previous life, I have the ability. I'll show you how to defeat paywalls. Social media exploitation is my thing, so I can help you out. No video is safe, and I will definitely definitely be able to help you out with that. That's one of those things that people don't realize. That
good to know.
No, I'm serious. I hate that.
I need a Disney Plus account.
Well, I don't know. Well, see, the thing that makes me mad is that we're all in a communications world. Information operations, psychological operations, public affairs, Civil
Did you know
Affairs.
there's a Stripes store?
There's a Stripe store, really?
Yeah, great gifts for friends and family in the military with mugs to maps, books, and keepsakes.
Are they gonna have
ship APO?
Are they having a going out of business sale? Is that what it is?
I'm looking at like what they're like advertising, which makes up part of the revenue, and I'm looking like, the Ridge wallet, your wallet, our wallet, make the switch.
Well,
USA, because of course.
Well, yeah, of course. But the whole thing is that
What? No Black Rifle coffee or
no no grunt style. Ooh, I
No
just
grunt
said
style?
I just broke. I got
I feel like they're missing their target audience.
I'm missing my I'm definitely gonna get counseled by WTF6 on this one for ragging out specific. He's okay to make fun of the media, but we can't rag on other.
We're not
veteran
ragging
groups.
on. They're just a part. I feel Stars and Stripes is obsolete in their for what the military has kept them on for. And you know what? If WTF6 wants to get mad at me about that, that's cool. Like, I'm not saying that the people who work there aren't excellent. I'm pretty sure that all of them, and because we know a couple of them, do their job and do it very well. They travel a lot. They tell these stories, but a lot of times it's a lot of overlap. I've read some of the same stories other places. It's just because it's on Stars and Stripes opposed to a PAO doesn't mean the story changes and the information changes. I kind of feel like PAOs are trying to be better at getting their stories published and through Army.mil and then stuff that's kind of being like picked apart by other outlets. That's like a halfway house for stories.
And that's what I was going to ask you about that. Do you think that Stars and Stripes and its change and sweep in the way it does things? Because like right now, part of the argument that I was supporting somebody on Twitter supporting on their argument was that for Stars and Stripes to say that it's no longer a good form of communication to use the newspapers, the organization that runs the Stars and Stripes hasn't sent a tweet out or hasn't used social media since 2019 of last year. So that's kind of like if you're going to sit there and say,
really?
Yeah, the DMA. Look at the DMA, dude. If that whole organization said that we're going to switch out and we're using a better form of communications, but they suck at social media, they suck at using the digital media aspect. You really can't. There's not an argument.
Is that on Facebook? Because I'm looking at Twitter.
No, it's on Twitter.
Stars and Stripes?
No. DMA.
Oh, DMA is.
They run it though, dude. They run it.
Well, DMA. I mean.
DMA runs it. DMA runs it.
But if Stars and Stripes is active, I'm looking at their Twitter right now, and I'm actually kind of curious that there wasn't. Oh, here we go. Here's something they did retweet. Lauren Katzenburn, she was retweeting an article. The Pentagon wants to cut roughly $7 million. It's allocated for Stars and Stripes of its $705 billion proposed budget. That is 0.0000099% of the DoD's budget, but it could be devastating blow to an essential media outlet. Yeah. But I don't find them to be an essential media outlet.
Yeah.
At all.
Well, that's what I'm saying. But they're not using the media that they're saying. That's what I'm saying. They're talking about cutting Stars and Stripes. They're cutting on talking about print media because they said print media sucks. But the organization that runs Stars and Stripes, the method of Stars and Stripes and his employment, trust me, I've been using digital.
Because DMA focuses on videos, like their whole like bread and butter is keeping AFN alive.
But you're still supposed to be able to use all. You just can't be stuck on one platform. You know what I mean? That's the whole problem with a lot of media in itself is they're stuck. So what's up, Nathan? They're stuck so much on using just one. Everyone thinks it's all about Facebook. Everyone thinks it's all about Facebook. Or it's all about not realizing that
All about that base.
It's all. Anyways, as somebody once told me.
I mean, if they're that popular, why don't they have more people on on their Twitter? Like, I'm looking at the people who they actually interact, and there's really not that many. Like, they're better. I've seen better numbers at like at brigade levels. Not a lot of brigades, only certain brigades. Most divisions.
Right.
I mean, they have 659,000 followers on Stars and Stripes. It's not bad. Their stories, though, like I'm looking at them, like 42 likes, 137 likes, yay, 25 likes, 46.
Right.
They had a 2.7 thousand views on a video story they did.
Well, as I'm saying,
like it's not a lot of. I mean, I'm looking at the metrics just off of this. Like I kind of like would be interested to see what.
That's a good idea. You know, that is a good idea. I did a metric review for USASOC for future planning and future use back when I was still in, and I think I'll do that. I think I will do that. I will see if the Department of Defense is going to cut funding to Stars and Stripes. Then what they need to do is then, if you're planning on cutting Stars and Stripes, then what are you going to do to replace what you're cutting from them? Do you know what I mean? So what's next? What are you planning inside to replace that cut? And then
like Game of Cubicles said, I'd like to see where like, okay, if it's only 17 million, I think I said, where is that 17 million going? Is that going to other DMA efforts? Is it going, or are we packaging up all this money and sending it over to modernization? I mean, they run you got, all the Air Force TV, Army TV, all
right.
They ran out of there.
Right, but I'm saying
AFN
it being the largest defense movie studio in the DoD. Have you been to that facility? I mean, of course you've been to that facility. So right off the bat, that right there should tell you that if they're going to be cutting all that stuff to the Stars, where is that money being reallocated to, or who else is getting it? Ooh, that's some conspiracy theory stuff now.
I get what that person was saying. It is a very, very, very small part of the overall budget. But in today where, like Recruiting Time said, it's an election year. Anytime they're trying to cut all the fat to show that that the Republicans,
right,
the current president who's trying to go vying for re-election, is being fiscally responsible by making sure that things that do not need to be in the budget aren't in the budget. And you can tout that I actually lowered the DoD's budget, or the DoD, however he wants, might spin it, as a talking point for the election. And then who knows? It might bump back up next year. Who knows? But as of right now, Stars and Stripes is going to lose money, and they're either going to have to figure out a way to either be more popular. Honestly, their social media game kind of sucks.
They do. I was about to say, I'll tell you what, if you go ahead and hire a U.S. Army WTF Moments and WTF Nation Radio, we can contract it out. You won't even have to use those personnel that you have on Stars and Stripes on staff. We'd be more than happy to consult and get you what you need to know on how to expand your social media footprint.
Honestly, it's just like
we're global.
It's just a top line of an article and then an article. Top line of the article, top line of the article. It's just all is article. Granted, there are news outlets, but there's no variance, and there's like no videos on this Twitter, which is stupid because Twitter Media Studio lets you put like up to like 15-minute long videos and shit.
Well, not
so
to
like
mention,
there's no, it's the same pattern. Nothing changes up. There's no. They're only tagging a couple of people,
right?
Yeah, and there's a couple of retweets of like big things, but like I'm seeing no variants. I'm seeing no videos, no single pictures. Almost like an extended. I tell people all the time, like use social media to do extended cut lines. Just do like a longer cut line with some photos to tell a story. It doesn't have to be the entire story.
Right. There's
none of that. It's literally, this is boring as shit. Like I'm about to fall asleep, like looking over. And they do a ton of tweets too. Like I've already passed like 30 tweets in like one day.
Exactly.
Hold on, let's see how many. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah.
5,
Well, I'll tell you what. We'll do a little project, and what we'll do is we'll show what Stars and Stripes right now is currently looking at their at straight up, and then and we'll go ahead and we'll give it to them. We'll say, hey, actually, we should do that. We should do that, Flash. We'll tweet it to them. Well, WTF Nation, we'll do a social media, a free social media cut line on what you look like to the world, Stars and Stripes.
Okay, over the past 10 hours, they've had 29 tweets. That's not even including the, I think, 3 or 4 retweets. Holy crap.
Wow.
No wonder. They're probably getting throttled back by Twitter because they have so much stuff going on.
I don't think they would do that, though. I don't think Twitter will throttle them back just for the amount of
Twitter,
information.
Yeah. There's a whole, there's a whole algorithm for Twitter, just like Facebook. And there's certain things Twitter, like just like Facebook, there's certain things that they like and don't like. And over-tweeting is one of them. Maybe they just don't have a really competent social media person over there. I don't know, but there's little things that they can be doing that would increase the numbers say it all. Who knows what kind of they had to answer up. Well, hey, these are our numbers. Like what kind of yearly reports were taken into consideration before they went. Yeah, we have a brigade over here at 3rd Infantry Division that has better social media numbers than you, which is, since they're cutting their newspapers, social media needs to be a bigger part of their comm plan.
Right. I don't.
Anyways, I'm getting to the weeds of what they should do.
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, but you're a PAO, you're a PAO guy, though, man. I mean, that's your in the weeds stuff with you being a PAO. You're freaking. You know this. This is your. I won't
say that I know how to run a newspaper. I will say that I just, you have to be able to drive traffic to the Stars and Stripes website, and I don't see them doing that. And I think that's one of their fatal flaws. And I think it contributed. Yes, their numbers are, numbers look good, the ones they put out. But like just getting it, just a daily look on it, it's a lot of content. There's no, you don't have to drive for a message because the Stars and Stripes are not supposed to have a message, but you are supposed to have different techniques to drive them to Stars and Stripes to make them lose out on those after they read 4 articles and have to subscribe and to see all the ads and stuff. And so you can add more sell more ad space. Like all these ads are like these like low ass companies, like well besides USA because they're hitting their target audience. Like I'm not trying. Like I don't want to be mean to Stars Stripes. I wish them the best, and
right.
And so here's actually the article. They actually talked about the 2021 budget, weapons to compete with Russia and China. I'm going to read real quick and see if they mention themselves. Space Force, blah blah blah. Afghanistan, new technology, modernization, earmark automated research. Auto deterrent. No, I don't see. You talk about you said the same stuff we've already covered.
Yeah.
The fighter pilots.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where you're gonna like now, like you said now. Okay, since we're cutting that because you're saying you're cutting a bunch of writers and stuff like that, then what else are you gonna do? Think about everybody that we hire and we contract to print those newspapers out in those specific areas. Once they get the digital copies of it and they lay it out for pagination.
Switch to complete digital. Like that. Right. I'm surprised that there's actually any paper copies anywhere.
Right.
No, it doesn't look like they mentioned that they're being cut.
Huh.
Nothing that I've seen, which I'm sorry. Like, I would be like, and these fuckers decided they want to take $17 million away from us. Like, who knows? That might pay for, that might actually pay to actually have, because I don't know how it's allocated to have like uniform personnel that works at Stars and Stripes.
Right.
Are they going to lose? Are Army Public Affairs people going to lose out?
Right.
Excuse me, on that opportunity?
Yeah.
Like, is that going to happen?
Well, I mean, I guess not. I mean, whatever. We're going to talk politics in the next break because politics is fun. Politics is getting more fun.
Oh, never mind. There is an actual article because I know we're about to wrap this up. DoD proposes stripping Stars and Stripes of funding 2021 budget. It's a good link. Ooh. I'm gonna send this to you. We won't have to put this in the we'll talk about it. We'll talk about it again. We'll talk about it again. We'll save it. We'll talk about it after this because I'm gonna freaking. I need to refill this beer. I'm out.
All right. Well, we're gonna go ahead and take a break right quick, and everybody get some drinking shots, and we'll be right back in a sec. Showers.
WTF Nation Radio. WTF Nation Radio.
Take it from me, Ice. You can't just float around space not caring about stuff forever.
The voice of U.S. Army. WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
Shit in the bag, Pogue.
These thoughts away, nothing feels the same. Left it all behind. improving. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human. Like you breathe, I breathe, and like you see, I see. And like you need, I need, and like you bleed, I bleed. Don't treat me like an object, I'm tested and proven. Mind, heart, and soul, I'll always be a human.
I am here determined to stop this future atrocity.
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
The voice of U.S. Army, WTF Moments. This is WTF Nation Radio.
I find your lack of faith disturbing.
Everything stated on WTF Nation Radio is to be considered the opinion of the person that stated it, and not an official representation of WTF Nation Radio or U.S. Army WTF Moments.
Price does not include tax, title, or license. Some assembly required. Each item sold separately. Batteries not included. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. If conditions persist, contact a physician. Individual results may vary. Keep out of the reach of children. Avoid prolonged exposure to direct sunlight. Keep in a cool, dark place. And
please enjoy the show. Shots.
I mean, literally, I'm really freaking frustrated at the fact that, you know, in the whole alignment of vote, it's almost like when you're going to go shopping for a new car. You know, you want to see what the brochure has. You want to be able to see what you're going to get to purchase and to look at. I think as a voter, anybody who is voting to see who is going to be elected to any specific primary, or, you know, eventually to become the president, you kind of want to have the field of who is going to be out there, so you have your choice. You had Yang, you had Gabbard, who else you had? You had some other individuals that were out there. You had, I mean, there's just a lot of people. Senator Warren, Klobuchar, you had Biden, Buttigieg, and, you know, everybody was kind of like throwing, hey, these are the standings. I'm like, yeah, okay. I'm kind of curious to see what was up. I'm kind of curious to see who's with that. There's some states already now that are already have early voting by mail in for their presidential primaries for their specific states. And I'm thinking, okay, well, if there's anybody I was going to check out to see who was going to go into it. Oh, I wonder what Yang has to say, or I wonder what Gabbard has to say, or I wonder what so-and-so has to say. Right? Anybody. I mean, it just almost seems like we're fucking, does it seem like to me they're just like shoving candidates that it's almost like they're going back to saying what they were doing about, oh, this isn't a dictatorship. So now we're getting force-fed Biden.
Well,
we're getting force-fed.
Let's start back.
No, go ahead.
The Iowa caucus.
Yeah. What's up with that?
The Monday edition, we talked about there was no early reporting. There was no nothing. The first signs of trouble came early for the start of the campaign trail. This is essentially, Iowa's a big state for the Democrats. It's a big state for everybody, but it's a big state for the Democrats because it's going to kind of show who the front runners are.
Right.
Start separating the pack early.
Right.
And we see a lot of people who win Iowa have gone on to get the nomination for both parties. But the first signs of trouble came early as the smartphone app for reporting the results of the Iowa Democratic Caucus began failing Monday night.
Yep.
Party officials instructed precinct leaders to move to Plan B, calling the results into caucus headquarters where dozens of volunteers would enter the figures into a secure system. But when many of the volunteers tried to log into the computers, they made the unsettling discovery. They needed smartphones to retrieve a code, but they had been told not to bring their phones into the boiler room in Des Moines. As a torrent of results were phoned in from the school gymnasiums, union halls, and other myriad of gathering places that made the Iowa caucuses a world-famous model of democracy, it soon became clear that the whole process was melting down.
No, it wasn't melting down to me, dude. It seems like it was fucking fixed, man. It seemed like it just, look, think about this. You have to call it in. How do I know that those individuals were calling those precincts and were from those individuals that were supposed to have been there? I'm going to add
it wouldn't be the first time. We saw the emails that came out right before the November 3rd election 3 years ago that they were that they were actively working to make sure Sanders didn't get didn't get these super delegates and shit like that.
Yes. In Nevada.
Volunteers resorted to passing around a spare iPhone and this is coming from the New York Times, so I love their article on this. One of my favorites, so I wanted to go off of that. Into the system, The state party financial officer said that, who was in charge of Boardroom did not know how to operate a Google spreadsheet application used to input data, the Democrat official later acknowledged. So it's a shit show from the start. Others, desperate to verify results, began telling some precincts leaders to email photographs of their worksheets, the paper forms used to tally results, to a dedicated email address. But for hours, no one monitored the inbox. When they finally opened Tuesday morning, there were 700 unread emails waiting.
Bro, I'm telling you what, right now, this was an opportunity for Ivan to strike, and this is the time. This would have been the time to do it. This would have been the time for this is the time where you now say it's a possibility that Russia and China hacked into our shit. This would be the time to say that right now. This would be the time to say it, because think about it. You're gonna have that. What was the other system where you have to go through different cell phones to do that? Who was the keeper of the cell phone? Who was the keeper of the program? Who ran the Caucus app? Who was responsible
this is what
for
happens
that?
when you don't plan backwards.
Well, not to mention. Well, I'm saying. Did the state have anything to do with this? Was this a state saying? Who contracted it out? Who was part of the company that ran the app? Because you would think, I brought this up to some other other politicos. I would think that something like this, after all this drama about Russia collusion and Ukraine collusion and use your illusion, would all freaking be. Would have something like this locked down, and you would have something that would at least, like you said, plan backwards, a fucking dry run. This is what would happen if you do this, and this is what would happen if you do that. And then there you go. It would have been knocked out, and it would be good. Now, if anything else, now the Republicans have every fucking reason why. Oh, hell, not even just the Republicans. Anybody who wanted to run in Iowa could say, and you know what? Biden had every right to say, as much as Biden is Biden, had every right to call bullshit on this. Had every right, just like Sanders.
The kicker about the whole email thing. Then the volunteers had to crane their necks to decipher these handwritten forms in picture form. An hour after the caucuses began, the Iowa Democratic Party chairman, who's probably going to get fired at some point, met in another room with officials. None of them with a clear strategy to manage the unfolding chaos that was happening. It runs even deeper. Now, the funny thing is, the app is actually, now the main public villain for the Iowa caucus fiasco has been reported. It has been the reporting app, a company created by a company called Shadow Inc., along with a coding issue in the back-end results reporting system that state party officials blamed for the chaos, but the crack-up resulted from cascading failures going months back. The fragile, issues of the caucuses, which demoralized Democrats in search of a strong nominee to take on President Trump, crumbled under the weight of their own technology flops, lapse in planning, failed oversight by party officials, poor timing, and the breakdown in communication between paid party leaders and volunteers out in the field who had devoted themselves to there's people that have been out there canvassing these precincts for a long time.
Well, think about it. Nathan's right. They should have used the Candy Crush app. They should have used something that's a little bit more different, that's more solidified. Because I guarantee it, this ad hoc thing, why wasn't this available on Google Play or iTunes? Why couldn't this be downloaded? Why wasn't it, in other words, why wasn't it put on in a distro and then locked out only to specific IP? I could have assisted in this. I know some cyber individuals and individuals that could have assisted, IT individuals, that could have assisted this cone of a footprint, so that way they'd have been able to do it. Only individuals with that register to fucking vote, because you have to know, right? Think about this now. If there's not any other time where you wanted to verify someone's ID to vote, would be this one right here. It would be this right here. This is a perfect example of why you want to make sure that the person that's voting is the person that's authorized to vote, and it has like you said, it has the app, has a fucking phone number, a legit phone number from that state. Because I've had the same phone number for the last almost 15, 16, 17 years, right? Mm-hmm. And it's easy for me to block or do whatever. So and all the places that I've lived, everyone's like, how come you got this number? How come you got that? What do you do with that number? I'm like, well, it's a cell phone number. Well, I don't have a specific. So they could have been able to verify that phone number to an address. It almost sounds like you're registering to vote with an ID. They're making this so freaking difficult. I love it. I think this is fucking hilarious. If anything else, this right here is going to guarantee the re-election.
Oh, it gets better. You ready for this?
Send
The
it.
wider scope of malfunctions came to light partly because of the new set of reporting requirements mandated by the Democratic National Committee after allies of Senator Bernie Sanders of Vermont pushed for the National Party to demand more transparency following his narrow loss to Hillary Clinton in 2016. I won't call it a narrow loss. I'll call it him getting swindled by the DNC and Hillary Clinton. I'm gonna, as much as I don't like the socialists and I don't like that whole idea.
No, you're right. No, he did. He
He got shafted. It was in the emails where do not let Bernie Sanders win this nomination.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's the thing. Bernie Sanders got screwed big time. There was no. He got shut the fuck out. And again, they're appointing. They're anointing specific individuals. And I mean, you know what? Scandals be damned and all that. Let actions speak louder than words. I think D. Treacy is going to get elected just on pure actions and what he's done for the country so far. And all we're seeing right now, and this is like me. This is me. You know me, bro. I'm a centrist / fucking independent, person. I look at shit like this. I lay things out and I do comparison and all that. All I have seen nothing but is fucking crying. I've seen other candidates get shut out. I have seen accusations of fucking complete and utter treason from each candidate, and you mean to tell me that you're all supposed to be gathering together to compete against this president? If you want to say you're going up against this president in the election, you're going about it the wrong way, because all we're seeing is infighting. All we're seeing. Don't get me wrong. I would love to see something that would come up and it's got a better plan and whatever. But I guarantee you right now, from what I'm seeing right now as a voter, I would not vote Democrat at all. Period. None.
Well, the widespread lack of faith in the Iowa results has shaken many Americans' confidence. There was a couple of polls, but in how the Democrats are running their own electoral system. But President Trump has reveled in this meltdown, including in several of his rallies and a little bit during the State of the Union. Democrats have proposed abolishing caucuses and ending Iowa's time at the front of the presidential nomination calendar. Even as party officials scramble to contain the fall, the full extent of the problem in Iowa is still unknown. And here's the bigger problem that they had. You had the Iowa party released a list of 92 precincts on Sunday that said were flagged for problematic by 3 presidential candidates: Mr. Sanders, Pete Buttigieg,
Buttigieg.
And the former mayor of South Bend and Senator Elizabeth Warren of Massachusetts. That figure is far fewer than the numbers with inconsistent captures. In the Times Review, the Associated Press said it was unable to declare a caucus winner, which was funny because both Mayor Pete and Bernie Sanders were coming out going, "We won, go Iowa!"
Right.
But they both were reporting the same fucking numbers. So everyone's confused, like, "Oh, we don't." Everyone's like, "No, we won. No, we won." But it was kind of
well. I mean, you can't say. It's almost like you. It's almost okay. I'm gonna bring up a perfect example. Okay. It's almost like how the WTF Nation has Zoltan. And Zoltan has predictions, and he predicts the results of the centralized promotion board, and that information is revealed to those individuals that pay a quarter to Zoltan, and Zoltan predicts you may or may not be selected for sergeant first class, master sergeant, or sergeant major, or colonel, or whatever. You may be the one that's Zoltan has that power to know, and then you have individuals that go out and blab that they made it. It's almost like somebody had an in. If someone's already declaring themselves a winner, if someone's already, you're right, cause the same thing. She hasn't been given the fucking. She's been short shitted too. Exactly. Tulsi's the big time. We were trying to get her because A, she's a veteran. B, she's a woman. She's a minority. So let's see what other flavor of fucking a candidate she can bring to the table. And she's been shut out. As soon as Hillary Clinton said that she was a Russian asset, or led up to that, her being a Russian asset, dude, what's up with that shit?
I hope she Miss Tulsi actually wins that fucking fight against her, because that I hate when people say this stuff like say stuff like that. Now,
anyways, so I'm sorry, I'm back up to say, I just think I think the fix is in again, is what I'm saying.
I wouldn't doubt it.
Here's what I'm saying with Iowa. I think the fix was in because if someone's already starting to declare themselves a winner, and I'm like, how do you know you're a winner?
Hell, anytime anything there, everyone's always got an in. Hell, anytime a soldier gets hurt and around a base, these media outlets report it right away because there's always an in. I'm pretty sure there's some volunteer who's on Twitter who's been texting back and forth between somebody like, yeah, you know, it looks like, you know, Pete, you know, Mayor Pete's going to win this one or whatnot. Now, the aftermath of this disaster, state and national party leaders are pointing fingers at one another. On Sunday, Mr. Price, the state party chairman, said he was very proud of the volunteers who put on the caucuses, and that the state party worked with the national committee for months to prepare them. This New York Times article is pretty cool. Like, it's very in depth. It's even got screenshots of these different sample caucus math worksheets, which are pretty fucking confusing. Now, the DNC approved Iowa's delegation selection plan, but left the state party to determine its own how to collect tabulation caucus results, which, you know, did not end very well. Now, a bit for transparency, some of the roots of the Iowa debacle stretched to 2016 when Mr. Sanders finished a fraction of percent point behind Mrs. Clinton in the state's caucuses. He and the allies were furious. Their caucus night data indicated that he had won the popular vote, but there was no way to prove their case. Precincts only reported how many delegates should be allotted without the underlying vote totals. And there was no mechanism for Iowa's Democrats to recount the caucus results because the state party did not maintain proper records of them. So it's weird how much the 2016 election is affecting the Democrats even today in this election process. Isn't that kind of freaky?
Dude, man, this is crazy, man. I'll be honest with you. That if you're not looking at any of this stuff with any, and I'm telling you right now, don't look at Orange Man bad. Look logically here that if you're voting on that party, you're going in blind, man. You are going in blind. You are getting force fed all the stuff that you say, oh, fascism and dictatorship. You're falling for the trap right now. You are falling for the trap right now.
But the plot keeps thickening. You ready for this?
Send it, man. I love this. Political drama.
So the app was created by Shadow Inc., a company recommended to the Iowa party officials by Democratic leader in Nevada who were working with this as well. The chief executive of the Shadow Inc. is Gerald Niemeyer. I think I might have said his right name. Niemeyer. That sounds better. Was a veteran of the 2016 Hillary Clinton campaign, where he oversaw tech products like an app the campaign used to take advantage of the quirky math of caucuses to track results in real time. Hillary strikes again, folks. she's about to announce her
right, dude. She's striking again. Again, guys. I mean, for you guys that are voting on the Democratic side or liberal side or progressive side or whatever side you want to call yourselves.
Best elected.
Yeah, I'm telling you right now, because what you are doing is that you are selling yourself short by not seeing how come Andrew Yang. Look, you are supposed to be the party that is all about for minority progression. You are supposed to be the party that is supposed to be for equality and all that. And you realize that they just shoved away minorities now off the panel, off the primaries. You realize that they've not let a minority woman veteran come on. You guys say you love vets, right? Or you've not let an Asian American come on there. You have gotten so sold on this freaking belief that these individuals, that's it. You're rolling your dice on these individuals? Give me a break. Alex Jones for president. Well, I don't know. He's not. Actually, Alex Jones hasn't really lied about stuff. Am I going to get banned from Facebook or something like that if I say Alex Jones a lot of shit? Yes, right. Yeah, exactly. That's right, Pookie. That's what happens to the end results of a two-party system. That's why some individuals on the Democratic side are going to have to go with their lesser evils, and there's some individuals on the Republicans that are going to have to go with their, because I guarantee it, everyone was all hating on freaking Trump big time when he was running. And they were talking all this mad shit. And all this, like I said, the biggest red flag case on the planet was the impeachment. They couldn't even do that right. See, that's what I'm saying. Bring receipts.
It's not all Shadow Inc.'s fault. Because of delays in planning the Iowa's caucuses, Shadow personnel didn't enter into a contract for the Iowa app until fall 2019, not that long ago, compressing an already tight timeline on the deal that paid relatively little, a bit more than $60,000 so far for customized technology services, which is pretty light. In November, Iowa officials gathered in Des Moines with Harvard election security experts, including Robbie Mook, Mrs. Clinton's 2016 campaign manager. Yes, that's a perfect person, to test processes involving in the caucuses, but the app wasn't part of the exercise. Still, Shadow developed the initial version of the app that month and began testing and updating it, according to a person involved in the effort. As the caucuses dates approach, more updates came, but the developers didn't regard them as critical, like tiny patches kind of thing. The weekend before the caucuses, officials from Shadow, the state party, and the DNC gathered to run final tests. They fed in false data to verify that the quality control system would catch anything that's amiss. The app worked well, according to the person involved, but no evidence arose of a bug that would jumble a portion of these results on caucus night. The Sunday before the caucuses, Mr. Price, who's the Iowa DNC chair, kept up a busy schedule. He taped an interview with Casey Hunt at MSNBC, and I think sometime in that early afternoon, he posed for photos of Fox News set with Donna Brazile, former chairwoman of the Democratic National Committee, and then he was at the Super Bowl party with Senator Amy Klobuchar. Yet in Polk County, where Democrats were preparing for 177 precinct caucuses, it had already been clear that all week that the app had problems. When the precinct chair reported issues, the state party referred them to the lone help desk employee. God, I hate to be that person.
I know, dude. Straight up. Yeah, exactly, dude. Exactly, man.
No more calls.
Yeah, exactly, man. I mean, what's
having PTSD from all the calls of angry people?
well, no, but think about it right now, though. But Elizabeth Warren. No, here's the thing too. A lot of people
drink off and on again.
Well, the thing is, no. But think about this though. Think about all the candidates that are being right now. If you speak out against a candidate or ask a candidate a question, you'll get called a name. Case in point, Joe Biden calling that person a dog-faced pony liar or something like that. You're a lying dog-face to a woman. Now, remember now, this is the party of supporting women and all this shit.
Oh, and then bash the guy who also who votes Democrats, wants to vote Democrats, but was worried about, saying that his son being involved is kind of iffy, and the guy pretty much was, calling him stupid and shit.
Yeah, calling him stupid and calling him he was lying. So this is the individual that you want to fucking follow. This is the guy that wants to. Hey, I'm sorry, man. That would be like me trying to run the army back when I was a buck sergeant. It ain't gonna work. When I got promoted to buck sergeant, it was February of 1996. The army back in 1996 isn't the army of now. So I'll move that boomer shit out of here. It ain't going to work. And I think he's still stuck. I don't know what it is. I don't know what's going on. He gets emotional now when he does interviews. He gets in the face of reporters that ask questions about his son. Dude, is that the guy? You talking about D. Treasy being off the rails? I think he's personally trolling individuals to watch them melt. I think it's fucking funny because, me, I'm a professional fire starter. So that's just the way it works. So that right there is going to get me the impression. If I was a voting Democrat, I'm being like, that dude's done. Get him out of here. Get freaking. I don't get Biden out. He had no Biden done. Let me see what Yang's got to say. Oh, you're not letting Yang talk? Well, how about letting some? I'm sorry, I didn't get a vote for Yang. Why is it all of a sudden? Who are running the polls? Why is it the media? Why is it the media? Let me get this straight. Why is it? It's the media that's deciding who you get to vote for. And it's the media that doesn't even support the president. Think about that, nation. Think about that. Vermin Supreme, that's right. You know what? Alan Howe, Vermin Supreme, came on to WTF Nation Radio and sat down in the WTF Nation hot seat and shot the shit with us. You know what? Didn't he win? He win something? Did he win like a primary or something like that? Didn't he, Vermin Supreme? You know what I mean? Just kind of like,
He's leading the libertarian ticket.
He is. Okay, look. It's the same as Trump.
I might actually vote for him.
Right. Am I really? What's that? Nathan says, but then again, it's the same as Trump responding to reporters and making fun of someone with a disability. Okay, now look. I've seen you guys. I've followed you people. You guys are my fan. I have a fan page that you guys follow and all this other stuff. And you guys are on there on Twitter, and I see your memes, okay? You're just as savage as the president when it comes to your fucking jokes. I'm just seeing it the way it is. I've seen some good memes.
Okay, so I get you there, but also this guy's supposed to be representing the country, and I'm talking both Biden. I mean, hell, but you have to remember Howard Dean got kicked out of the running for the the weakest bullshit thing for him to kick out. Oh my God, he got excited and said, "We're gonna win." He didn't say we're gonna kill anybody. We're gonna have a civil war. He said, "We're gonna win this." We're gonna take
We're gonna take the WTF Nation. We're gonna take WTF Nation.
So, but now it's like, you know, and I got that point though. You know, we do have a president who, you know, he does not. He has been pretty disrespectful to certain groups of people.
Is it disrespect? Is it disrespect though?
Look,
think about it. Think about how. Think about it though.
I had a problem with President, you know, because I want to stay on this topic because I still want to talk about the caucuses.
Go ahead. Yeah, you're right.
I will say that I do not like how the president likes to talk to or about his people or political opponents, but I also think that Joe Biden needs to rein his ass in too, because I'm not going to hold one person to a standard and like, oh, Joe Biden, you go ahead and, you know, call people stupid because they're challenging you or saying that, hey, the media is reporting this stuff and it's not just Fox News. What do you have to say? And then they call them stupid and stuff like that. That's how you're not going to win the vote, because you start making fun of people. Oh, there you go. So there's a whole lot of stuff that happened throughout the caucus. We kind of mentioned that already. And we're at the end of this debacle. In the end, in the Times review of the data, at least 10% of the precincts appeared to have improper allocation of their delegates based on reporting vote totals. So there's already some discrepancies on the start. In some cases, precincts awarded more delegates than they had to give. In others, they awarded fewer. More than 24 precincts appeared to give delegates to candidates who didn't even qualify.
I was about to say, who didn't even qualify
under the caucus rules.
Right, exactly. Oh no, but it's not fixed, right? And who are blaming? Dude, we don't have to worry about Russia and fucking Ukraine interfering with our elections.
Just laughing. What the fuck is going on over there?
Yeah, just like Jesus Christ, they're fucking it up themselves. But again, okay, look, I'm gonna say it right now. As much as shit as Trump has taken, if I was in his situation, I wouldn't give two fucks either, dude. I would not care at all. This whole freaking, that's right, Nathan. If you watch Fox, it's Trump. If you watch the Democratic candidates and the CNN, it's right. It's skewed. Those are your freaking candidates. It used to be open and level. You know what? It actually, Tulsi Gabbard has been on Fox News more than freaking CNN.
Biden is super creepy. I didn't let him around my kids.
Yeah, exactly. No, but I'm saying though is that all the stuff that Trump's been through, let him take some shots. Let him. You know, sit there and have somebody.
And that's one reason.
That's why he's like that.
He was at New Hampshire. He was making fun of. He was talking about the State of the Union. He was talking. He's like, yeah, somebody was behind you. Somebody behind me. They kept just chatting and just it's like it was something was a little hard, but it sounded like they were just all mad and being quiet. I laughed a little because I'm like, he's taking a victory lap, and let me finish this real quick. Given the slim lead, Mr. Buttigieg, Mayor Pete God now holds over, Senator Sanders and the state delegation equivalents. A full accounting of these inconsistencies could alter the outcome, but without access to the precinct worksheets, it's difficult to determine who the errors hurt and who they don't hurt. So they did finally come out with a whole list. So here's how it breaks down: 13 delegates go to Mayor Pete. 12 go to Bernie Sanders. God. 8 go to Elizabeth Warren. Joe Biden gets 6. Amy Klobuchar gets 1, and then it's zeros for Andrew Yang, Tom Stewart, Deval Patrick, John Delaney, Michael Bennett, Michael Bloomberg, good, and Tulsi Gabbard.
Bloomberg, dude, what the hell?
With a couple of uncommitted and for random other candidates. So Mayor Pete and Bernie Sanders, Elizabeth Warren, and Joe Biden are still in the race. Amy Klobuchar, who knows? Because there's some people, there's some folks that start off slow and gain speed other places. Now the Republican side, Donald Trump won with 39 delegates. One random delegate went to Bill Weld, who's going for the whole he's kind of going for the Republican, but I was totally switched to libertarian. And I'll tell you what, I'd vote for Bill Weld over the candidates we have now. Yes, but now let's talk about the real thing. The winner for all of this is not Mayor Pete. It's not Bernie Sanders. It's not even Elizabeth Warren. It's the president, because not only did his impeachment, yes, he had to do the State of the Union the day before he got impeached, so he really couldn't take a victory lap over that. But
why not?
He walked up there and just was having the greatest time of his life, because not only did he beat another Democratic-led investigation. Well, I guess the Mueller investigation wasn't a Democratic-led, but it was introduced by Democrats. But another investigation he was granted. The whole thing about the impeachment to me that I don't like is that everything was strictly party lines. If they're really, I don't know if all the Republicans were just like lockstep or if the Democratic Party really didn't present a strong case. What I listened to, it wasn't strong enough to remove the president, but strong enough to I understood the impeachment.
Like Spanky says, bring receipts. I wanted to see fucking proof. I wanted to know what the definition of a high crime and misdemeanor of this time. I want to know what it was.
Really what was for me that there was no
what was the legit?
Did not testify.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Not only the whistleblower did not testify, but let's talk about Vindman. Let's talk about everyone's been asking me on Twitter, asking me on Facebook to weigh in on this, to weigh in on the Vindman thing and all this other crap. Now, working for the National Security Council, it's an appointed duty, just like working for the White House Communications, as you see, just like working in an embassy or something like that. There is an appointed duty, and there's a specific process that you have to go through and all that. Every single appointee, remember, it's an appointment. So every single appointing, it is a specific and discretion to whoever you're being appointed to work at the discretion of that individual to say, I don't need you. It's like cutting staff. It's like cutting the stars and stripes, right? It's like, we don't need you, and that's it. And nothing to do with it. We just time for you to fucking go. The same thing with Vindman. It is supposed to be the same way. Look, I have served in a unique organizations to be able to work side by side with diplomats. And I've had the opportunity to work side by side with these diplomats, and at any time they even said, hey, maybe we should have this, or maybe we should have that, or maybe we should ask your commander this. Maybe, my commander said, it's time for you to go fucking home, dude. It's time for you to redeploy. It's time for you to come back. Your time in the shade is, your time in the fun is over. So you're done with that. It's time for you to get home. Not one time did I had anybody in the news come up and say, ICE got fired from working in the embassy, blah, 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 or ICE didn't do this, blah, blah. No, it's because it was my time or working for another organization, and that's it. You're done. You don't have to have a reason, nor does anybody have to have a reason for an appointment to be canceled out. So when everyone's like, oh, fucking, he's got five. Dude okay, think about what you're doing. You're telling someone who's a lieutenant colonel, who is an appointed position, you don't have to fucking work there. It is like an extreme honor and privilege to get to that point. It just so happened is because he was freaking Ukrainian that he ended up working on there. Look, I have had individuals that have served with me that have spoken the language of the areas that I've been deployed with or have had areas experiences like that. And I guarantee it. And when it's their time to fucking go, it's their time to go. If it's time for them to rotate out, it's their time to rotate out. Did he get a relief for cause or something like that? Did we see the NCOER or something like that? So you're crossing the line between what's going on in the military and what's going on in the special relationship that you have for working for the National Security Council. Again, I've worked with the Department of State. The same freaking thing. Ken, you're just not the fit here. You're just not going to work out. I have had soldiers removed from countries working in embassies because they have said that something that pissed off the ambassador, and the ambassador gets butthurt or something like that, and it's nothing against them. You didn't fuck up. It's just not your line of whatever. The same thing.
Phil says it's like firing Flash. Bye, Felicia.
Well, no, except Flash wasn't appointed. He's working in his assigned duties. Is what I'm saying. It's that. But if at any time, this was an appointment, and I said, Flash, you're done. You're done. No one's gonna fuck you. You would understand when you have that appointment. It's like it makes me so mad when our members of the military work up in D.C. and get so fucking comfortable where they're working. The guys in the old guard, the guys that work in the freaking White House Communications Agency, the guys that do national security. Nothing but fucking, I tell you what they call them down online on Bragg. They call them fucking sidewalk soldiers. Nothing but glorified fucking trophy kids. The worst place to send anybody is to those organizations right there because they get comfortable getting comfortable there. I don't know. When was the last time Colonel Vindman served on a line unit? Isn't he like a lieutenant colonel? So shouldn't he be assigned, a battalion? So you best believe that and I have had an incident myself where a soldier has gone or individuals have gone, or I have heard stories of individuals going outside the chain of command and speaking to somebody else instead of speaking to me, their direct supervisor. And I removed them. See you. That's it. No.
It does, but I will say that it is a bit the timing of everything.
Who cares? Who cares?
Who cares? You're giving the media fodder to use against it. But I guess
no,
who cares?
it's not.
Because you know what the president's like. I don't care.
I don't know. That's not the point.
I won the impeachment. I've gotten one trade deal signed. I've got another to lift tariffs with China. He's keeps racking up these wins. I'll call them wins. I mean, in his eyes, they're after wins. And then the economy numbers come out of these new jobs.
You're right.
Reporting that they're going to be lower.
You're right, but let's go back. Let's go back to they're making a mountain out of a fucking a molehill out of him being removed.
It didn't last long though.
But I'm saying though is
not raised for 6 hours.
My point is this: is that when when Bush left, when W was leaving and Obama was coming in, everybody got fucking fired. That's a normal fucking process. That is a normal process for every new administration.
You have to remember that. According to news sources, he was removed.
It doesn't matter. Okay, he was reassigned. He was removed. Define
he
that.
He was removed with guards. You're fired. Get the fuck
doesn't
out.
matter. I have been reassigned from areas that require I've not been removed. I was PCSing out of a place that was a skiff. And you know what they did? They escorted me out because at that point, once I out-processed, I had to be escorted out because I was out-processed. I was removed from some of the programs that I was working. Same fucking thing. I could use that same defense.
I honestly think it's just Trump being spiteful.
It doesn't fucking matter.
But he had all, you're right though. He had all precedent. They say you serve at the behest of the president, so he can fire and hire anyone he wants. I get that. I think Trump was just like, cool. Who can I tag for causing giving me all this trouble? Now for the Democrat,
well with his rights,
the whole who this whistleblower is and everything like that, and then why didn't I remember Bolton was such a big deal in the Senate trials, but why wasn't he
the whole you're right
in for the House?
I'm telling you, Flash.
Control, they could have subpoenaed anybody. They could have done everything they want. Why didn't they subpoena everybody?
We called this though, Flash. The WTF Nation called this when they were talking about doing impeachment, and I said specifically, that's like somebody watching you getting away with getting a speeding ticket and then wants to fucking charge you on the cop not giving you a speeding ticket. How come ICE didn't get a speeding ticket when I got a speeding ticket when you pulled me over and made it big? And we said this was all going to be fucking hearsay, which that turned out to be true. We also said it's time for freaking, it's been what do you mean? It's been 3 years. It's not a new admin. Yeah, right. It's been a new admin. Individuals at that point when they've had a reason for you not to move out. Think about it, dude. Would you know what? Somebody who's always recording your shit or going back to report internal dealings or trusted conversations that you've had with somebody and it gets to the fucking media, yeah, gone, bye.
I will say, while I understand what he's saying, I have seen people who have been caught leaking stuff but immediately moved out because they could. It's like you're not, it's like, hey,
again,
look,
it isn't
going somewhere else because we can't have that kind of shit happening.
It is an appointment.
Do I agree with it? You know what? It's
again,
the president can do what he wants in those positions. Maybe I don't like it, but he can. I just, I think maybe it's the timing of it. But here's the thing: the big takeaway from all of this, the Iowa caucus, the State of the Union, everything, is Trump is walking around and peacocking because I hate to say I'm calling it, but I'm going to say it that I think it's going to be very hard and very difficult for the president to be beat in this next election.
He's not going to be beat. You're right. You're right.
Why? It's not like the media was doing the Democrats any favor by trying to keep it quiet.
Nope.
They blasted everywhere. Hell, they had Wolf Blitzer up there and were like, yeah, well, it's it's 3 hours into our media coverage and we have no numbers.
Right.
And 2 hours later, it's been 5 hours and still no numbers. And they talked the complete meltdown and how bad this makes the Democrats look. Yes, the problem is, you have your front runner is a Democratic socialist, we'll call it, and Mayor Pete, who just has been a mayor, and then Warren, who's an old white lady, Sanders, an old white man, and then Biden, an old white man. I mean, you have Mayor Buttigieg, who's homosexual, and that's not your diversities you got going on besides Warren being a female and whatever else she puts on her application, whatever box she checks. I don't know. So then your only alternative is, and the messages aren't resonating with what the Democrats are pushing out. You have Bernie Sanders who's coming out saying, well, we're going to One of the greatest questions I heard to Bernie Sanders, I think was from MSNBC, going, how do you convince people who are looking at their 401ks and they're looking at their jobs and looking at how the economy is doing and convince them that your plan is better, that we need to change it? Like, how do you convince them? And he kind of was like hemming and hawing, we're gonna make it even better and better. And he said, how do you change people who think that this is the best it's going to be? And there is when I was mentioning the job numbers were supposed to be, according to experts, be lower than expected, which was already kind of like tampered down.
Right.
They ended up adding like another 100,000 over or something like that.
Right.
It was a good bit over what the projections were, giving the President Trump another feather in his cap.
Jobs are looking for people, not the other way around. That's what the current status is of our job market right now. African American and Hispanic.
And then even at the State of the Union, yes, Nancy Pelosi kind of like won herself political points for the potentially pre-ripped papers that she tore up the speech, which there is now an ethics complaint against her for ripping up official documents.
Petty as fuck. That's all petty. That's all petty.
I think all that's petty, but he and I find it was great that I think there's a good bit of pandering to minorities, but a lot of the stories that he was telling throughout were resonating with people. You're right.
It just so happened. You're right. It was you're right on the head, Flash. It was resonating with people that just happened to be in a cross section of America. That's what he was highlighting.
Military coming home.
Yeah.
Of course, there's some people like, anytime somebody comes home, somebody has to take their place. I'm going to be like, no fucking duh.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean this isn't special for this family.
Right. Exactly. I'm telling you, man, this whole freaking thing, they're going to give it to him. Anytime he's going off on somebody, or anytime he trolls somebody on Facebook, or on Twitter, you open it yourself.
Nathan, I 100% think it. I looked at it and I thought it was petty too, like that he didn't shake Nancy Pelosi's hand. I got that, but
right,
would
it is.
you?
Would you? Yeah, exactly. No, I mean,
this woman's been dog walking you.
Everybody, I'm telling you what. Everybody's at fault here.
I wouldn't shake her hand either.
Yeah,
Decorum says he should, but Decorum also says that she shouldn't, be clapping in his face and with a smirk or tearing up the thing. Which, according to pictures, they're behind pictures of the papers beforehand. She looked like she already pre-ripped it. Like there was already a pre-rip in them. So
they're all petty. And you know what? I guarantee
she knew what she was doing. She's always tried to play the political game.
I was about to say that's her shit too. That's her MO.
Anytime there's a photo opportunity, there's a one really good photo where it's kind of a wide shot, it's looking down the table, and Nancy Pelosi's standing there and pointing her finger at the president, and the president is sitting there with his arms crossed, and everyone uses that. But that's not. We're going to disregard that. They're all playing this political game. I don't think trust me, Nathan. I don't think anyone is innocent. I don't think everyone is doing stuff because they know. I think the president does a little bit more out of just sheer FU than anything else, but Nancy Pelosi knows what she's doing, and the other Democrats know what she's doing.
For a party that's supposed to be smug and fucking snooting and look down people's nose.
She didn't even announced in the full introduction either.
Right.
It was this half-ass bullshit.
Right.
And they even pushed to make sure that it happened before the impeachment went through. The impeachment acquittal went through instead of. Because I guess the White House said, hey, we want to do it on Thursday. And they went, no, you're going to do it on was it Monday or Tuesday? Or I think it was Tuesday. And then Wednesday it went through. So there's plenty of politics being played on both sides. So, I mean, granted, I myself, as much as, I hate to say it, I would probably bite my lip and shake her hand and play nice because I've already won. And I don't need to don't need to keep, to make myself look bad and give anyone else but that's the president's way, and he's going to do what he does. But he's got all these wins under his belt, and then the Democrats hand him a gem. We can't even fucking run our own caucuses right. Everyone's going to be looking at New Hampshire. God, New Hampshire people are like, oh, God. Because Iowa just came out of nowhere. Like, okay, this shit isn't working. Everyone's looking at New Hampshire like, don't fuck this. You fuck this up, you lose this.
Yep. I totally agree, man. This is all, and I guarantee it. We could go back and have whatever, and I'll be honest with you, what started the dogpile and all that, and a lot of this were the Never Trumpers to begin with, and the Never Trumpers. That's one thing I can say about crossing party lines has been the Never Trumpers. Some members of the Republican Party, some members of the Democratic Party, everybody in the fucking left. Everybody was like, there was like no fucking way this guy's gonna fucking get it. These are the same pandering guys to him when they were asking for money for all of their fucking programs and scholarships.
Can you know about my state with this, or can we get that?
What's that?
And it's
kill off your state. What do you mean?
What do you mean we're not going to be part of the United States anymore?
Exactly.
I have being in the DMV area, I know I've had talks. Try not to talk politics with my friends because I don't want people to hate me because I tell them, well, everyone's stupid. But I've had talks with people who are, moderate Democrats, moderate Republicans, independents, some more left, some more right. And I tell you what, Bernie Sanders does not give everyone doesn't make people tickle pink. Like no. Elizabeth Warren doesn't get everyone excited.
Nope.
Mayor Pete, a little bit. Joe Biden, not so much. But people, I've noticed that the more people I talk to that are in that like middle range, kind of like where I sit, more people are leaning to the right.
Yeah.
To Trump because from who the people I've talked to.
Right.
And granted, this is not a large cross section of the country or anything like that. I'm just that the economy is working. Their 401ks are up. They're making more money. Their taxes, while the taxing cuts, haven't helped everybody or didn't do exactly what they're supposed to. Whatever.
Some people that are complaining about the tax cuts don't even qualify when they file their taxes anyways to have any tax taken. So those are the ones that are complaining about it. If that makes sense.
But the long story short is that more people are starting to go, I would either vote for Trump or I won't vote at all, and that's what hurt Hillary Clinton. Is people were so many people were hurt that it came out the DNC pretty much jacked up Bernie Sanders' campaign and didn't even make it a fight because they knew Bernie Sanders would not win in a national election, that they handcuffed him.
Right.
And a lot of people decided, I'm just not going to vote. And I've heard I've seen a lot of Bernie or bust. I've seen a lot of
exactly.
Bernie or this. Like it's a ultimate. It's either Bernie or nothing. And
right.
I think if Bernie Sanders loses, you're either going to have too many. If Bernie Sanders loses, you're going to have people who are either going to accept that Trump is just another 4 years and not vote, and just like, what does it matter? Trump's going to win anyways and not vote.
Yeah.
Or if Sanders wins, there's been plenty of people like Amy Klobuchar, the senator who's running for the nominee, actually said in a interview, I think it was today or yesterday. I saw it today, but it might have been for today or yesterday, that she would not back a socialist president.
Yeah.
Or she would not back a socialist nominee. Sorry, that's the correct. That's the correct. And that's what the problem is. The Democrat. I believe the Democrat ideology is too divided. You either have the Democrat socialists, and then you have just the people who are Democrat left. And that wide is, we're talking about a wide enough in the country.
Dude,
the
are you sure?
These are lined up behind Trump.
I was about to say, are you sure about that? Because I have seen them lose their shit almost to the left, go all the way to extreme liberal left. And I'm like, wow. Are instead of bitching about misogyny, instead of bitching about this shit, I'm not saying that it's obviously something we need to fight inequality. We need to have fight against inequality. I'm all for that. Fight against veterans. I'm gonna tell you what. I have not seen any of these parties talk about what they're gonna do for homeless veterans. I have seen organizations do more for homeless veterans than fucking these party people who are saying they're gonna do things for homeless veterans. I've not seen anything. I've seen the state of California turn into an ultimate fucking dump because of individuals that are just afraid of empowering individuals, and of course property values are so fucking high. The way their taxes, is that what you want the rest of the country to look like? It's not going to happen that way. It's not going to happen. You ain't going to have that at all. So I'm not going to.
Hold up, Phil. I am not praising Trump. I'm stating facts, and I'm stating opinions. I don't think. I honestly, again, I didn't vote for Trump. I honestly don't like him, but I can't argue. I can't argue with the facts of what he's accomplished. Whether he's accomplished through, no lube in a big steel-toe boot, or through some whatever means, but he's able to, according to this list of I think it was 12 or 14 campaign promises, he's accomplished 4 of them. 4 or 5 are in the works, and then the other 3 or 4 just haven't got to yet. Which it's hard for and even in 4 years to get all your campaign promises done. But the border wall is going up, even though he had to use DOD money to do it. So Yes, Mexico isn't paying for it, which is kind of some bullshit, but the border wall is still going up. He did talk to North Korea. China and the U.S. are working to tone down these tariffs.
You see what the fuck going on?
NAFTA is happening.
Yeah,
we're doing
that.
a deal with with England and European Union to adjust some things over there. Like, he's approved a crap ton of these justices, 2 Supreme Court justices, a bunch of circuit court. It's hard,
right, dude?
I don't
right.
want to praise him, but it's hard to argue with the actual facts of what he has done, and it's hard to go. Yes, a successful president would lose just because. Yeah, I don't agree with a lot of his domestic policies. I think that's what hurts him the most is how he talks with people in the media, but the media also goes out after him too.
I'm still waiting for the legalization of medicinal marijuana for veterans treatment and using for treatment of PTSD, because there's been a report that's been released saying that a lot of the PTSD therapies that the VA is issuing for pain management and PTSD don't work. So,
you know what? We've talked about this though. Veterans, homeless veterans, the only time we're mentioned is when we're a political pawn.
Right, dude.
No doubt that, and Nathan just, posted that a veteran shot himself in the head in a VA parking lot the other day. And that's incredibly sad. Like, that hurts my soul.
Fuck yeah, dude.
Every time that happens, because it shouldn't happen.
Right.
But our VA system is, remember when it was the big thing and then it just went away?
Yeah.
And, the VA, we didn't even get to the VA having a whole shakeup with their leadership, but the VA has always been fucked. But the only time politicians talk about the 22 suicides a day and veteran problems and actual soldier problems is when, we're taking money from the DoD budget that isn't really allocated to soldier stuff. It's just kind of like a just in case fund, and we're going to move it over here. What about the soldiers? What about the soldiers' house?
Right.
That was the time it was brought up.
Yep.
And then now this has happened. Things happen at these VA hospitals, and it's going to continue to happen. No one's going to speak up until it's a political option for people, and that it infuriates me. And it's one reason why I hate politicians, because they only use veterans when it looks good for them, not when it helps veterans. Hell, like Elizabeth Warren put on her social media that she has a plan that on day one she would be able to curb veteran suicide.
Yeah, I saw that.
And then somebody retweeted and said, "Oh my God, if you have a plan, why are you waiting till you get elected president? Why aren't you doing it now?"
Exactly.
And that was the biggest holy shit, he's exactly right. These people, these aren't just everyday people off the street who have no say in our politics. They're the actual people, except Mayor Pete. He has no. He's the little kid at the playground that somebody brought.
That little dude's all over the map.
But you have all these senators, besides Joe Biden. He's an ex-senator and stuff. But you have all these other senators who are in this race who have yet to introduce this kind of legislation, who have yet to do anything for the veterans. But apparently Elizabeth Warren has a plan. Fuck off.
Yeah, so right now, currently, the LA Times is saying that with hours left, the New Hampshire primary voters can't make up their minds.
I think that kicks off tomorrow?
Yeah, I think it just. Again, I just think it's fucking funny. These are the politicians that are on the running on the Democrat. There's nobody. Is there anybody inspiring on that party at all? Is there anybody that really grabs you to say? That makes you. I mean, I'm asking the Democrats that listen, because we have all people listening here. Is there anybody that really grabs you that would make you want to vote? Or you guys are just gonna have to go? Man, God, I wish this guy would. I wish somebody else. There's no. Is there anybody that's?
I would say as a moderate, and I'm looking across the board because I still don't think I could vote for Trump. But if saying regardless of voting for Trump, saying I'm just as a moderate looking across the board, the only person who I like is Amy Klobuchar. She has she's going to have those left policies, but she's not losing her mind about we're going to get rid of all student loan debt. We're going to do all this all this free stuff that you see a lot with Bernie Sanders and Elizabeth Warren's trying to jump on that whole free bandwagon. Amy Klobuchar's not going after the Second Amendment in a way that's going to no more than a normal Democrat.
I haven't even heard her say anything either.
She said things need to be done, but not we need to totally ban everything. And if Joe Biden says 20 clip a 20 clip, 30, 50 clip. I swear to God, I'll punch him in the head.
Exactly. Or he said he's going to use help.
My thing, because I don't want to get a tangent on that, is where's the fucking communication person who said, hey, maybe I should look this up and say, no, sir, it's,
Yeah,
magazine.
well, Eva says that Elizabeth Warren is not even in her top 10 friends list on MySpace. Top 10 friends on MySpace.
Fucking Joe Biden. But Amy Klobuchar is, Andrew Yang's not bad. I kind of think that his $1,000 a month would be awesome in theory, but I don't know how practical that would really be. Bloomberg, dear God, I hope he just stays at zeros.
Oh my
Tulsi
God,
Gabbard, if the media would give her more of a chance to actually talk, I'd love to hear more about her. And hey, Tulsi Gabbard, you're invited to WTF Nation Radio to get a chance to get your voice out.
Always.
But as the ones
And
that
Yang
are
too.
in the top half running, Amy Klobuchar would be my only person that I would be like, I could vote for her.
Right.
Be okay with it. But Mayor Pete, he's okay. He's not even that bad when it comes. It's just Bernie Sanders scares me on a constitutional level.
Yeah, for
Elizabeth
real, dude.
Warren's kind of same thing.
Yep.
And then Joe Biden, I just can't handle Joe Biden for 4 years.
I can't even handle 4 minutes. What are you talking about?
I just, if we're going to replace the president, I don't want someone who acts old and senile and calls people stupid just same way. I'm not going to replace one asshole.
If you're calling the constituents names, people that are asking you fucking questions at a town hall.
Vote for the caucuses.
Right. It's on you. Screw you.
Trump's going. Okay, granted, Trump's doing stupid shit too, but he's at least going after people who aren't going to vote.
He's not going after. Trump's not going after the people that he wants to vote. That one who wants to vote for him. He's not going after them. He's not calling them stupid. He's not doing that shit.
Tim, if we could bring back Red Leg, we would. I miss that salty bastard. Elizabeth Warren's not my top 10 friends on MySpace.
Exactly.
I love you people. But yeah, I mean,
people. I'm sorry.
Nobody really exciting. It's not a was it 2008 Obama.
Nah.
There's no one exciting on the Democrats. Hillary Clinton had some spark to her because the first woman president, the potential of the first woman president was pretty cool and really cool in some people's eyes. And it's going to happen. It's going to happen in our lifetime. And I'm 100% awesome with that as long as they're a qualified person.
Right.
But people, between Bernie Sanders being handcuffed for no reason, and just the same as the people call the establishment, the cycle of Clintons and Bushes and shit like that rolling through the White House, that nobody wanted Hillary Clinton in the White House, and that's why even Democrats had the lowest turnout. Yes, she won the popular vote by 2 or 3 million. I got that, but she also assumed she was going to win by not actually campaigning in places that she needed to win, because she knew she was going to California, New York, and the West Coast. But because Donald Trump, weirdly enough, did the legwork, he won the states that Hillary Clinton could have won if she tried. She assumed her name would carry her, and she lost. There's no one exciting since then. Amy Klobuchar, while I'd vote for her, is not going to excite the Democratic base. Joe Biden's not. There's enough creepy memes that the QAnon people are going to hammer him away if he gets close to elected. Bernie Sanders scares everyone on the left, and it scares people on the left and everyone on the right. And then there's Mayor Pete, who has a shot. I don't know if he's got the chops and the track record to go up against the president, but I mean, it'd be interesting to see.
No, yeah, really. I don't think it's going to happen. I think D. Trees is going to sweep. That's just me. Like you said, we're calling it right now. I'm going to call it. Hey, so shit, dude, we went overtime. We don't even do sports page, but isn't there supposed to be happening another sportsing thing supposed to happen real quick? It's like another type of sports supposed to be starting up real quick. You can only say it real quick, but that's it because we only got a few minutes.
And I think it's 15 or 16 days, or no, 20 days. Baseball starts.
There we go.
Before there's a couple things real quick. XFL, you've probably seen it before. It's gone in and out of the mainstream for the past 15 years.
Right.
Made its fabulous debut this weekend, 2 actual really good games, and the numbers for viewing actually weren't bad at all. So we'll talk more about the XFL and that whole shindig next week. But also, here's another kicker as we end our night. The MLB is weighing major changes to the postseason, including growing the number of teams from 10 to 14, meaning that 7 teams on each side, the National League and the American League, would get a shot for the championship. We'll talk more about that next week, because I know it's been a very smart show. Phil tried it, so he's wanting me fired, but hey, we appreciate everyone, Nathan, Phil, Eve, and everyone who has been listening. Recruiting Times, D-Mac, Rob.
We don't go overtime because we're at minimum staff. We have staffing that 3 hours it will kill, unless we have like a guest. Then that's when we usually have that's when we go a little bit over than 2 hours, because when we don't have a guest, then we go 2 hours. That way, because it's freaking it's Monday, and the staff said, hey, can we kind of tone it down a little bit? And
a rough weekend.
Yeah. Thanks, Tubby.
I'm on my 8th year.
Thanks, Tubby, for following. But real quick, hey, we have this coming up this weekend. We have author Tom Petitmerme of Tactical 16. He's going to come on, and he's going to we've got a video ready to load up, and it's going to be posted on Wednesday. It's going to be a preview video of he's going to introduce himself. He's going to come on and talk to Kicking It with Kaz and Owl. I almost said Cow. Pretzel 6, Memories of Forward Air Controller. This guy's got like over 500 combat missions over Vietnam, and served in support of Special Operations, SOG units, and 5th Special Forces Group. Dude, he's the real deal when it comes to flying those types of missions. We can't wait for him to come on Kicking It Cost. Tomorrow is the debut of a Pop Culture Warrior with CQ. I want you guys to give him some love, give him some support. More than likely, we'll probably in the chats kind of nosing around and give him some support, because that's going to be his Tuesday gig. Radar is going to be joining him too. He's going to be bridging the gap between the veteran community and Hollywood. These are straight individuals that have had no experience with veterans. These are individuals that maybe have worked with veterans, but have been on a platform that caters specifically to veterans. So we're excited, because once CQ comes on, he's going to be bringing that fold. Like I said, Radar is going to be a co-host, just like he's back there again, just like the way it was before. Except this time, it's not going to be Minx. It's got a, it's going to be CQ. CQ, I don't know if you guys have heard, we've been having our last 3 tests going up to make sure he's good to go with his technology, and make sure that, I don't know, it's kind of like in aviation, how an instructor pilot flies along to make sure that he's good to go. And that's been me and Red Leg behind the scenes to make sure he's good to go to get set up. So we're excited. So welcome him tomorrow, 2000. Him and Radar are going to kick it off. And man, it's going to be interesting. Once we have that show going, then we'll be broadcasting on Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and then we have other freaking shows and plans and all that stuff in the works too. So it's just one show at a time, and we'll be back to probably broadcasting 6 days a week. God, 6 days a week. Oh, I'm tired, man. It's making me tired.
You're getting old.
Anyways. So everybody, thank you guys for following, sharing, and liking us on all platforms now. We have 15 different platforms that we are broadcasting and podcasted to. It's actually to the point where our graphics guy is going to have to lay out exactly where we on, so that way we can have you guys can know where to get us and download us and all that stuff. Of course, still the same old stuff. WTFNationRadio.com's website, Google Play, iTunes. Twitter, Facebook, Mixer, YouTube. I see you all in the chats. We have now the technology to monitor all those chats in there, and that's why I'm able to thank you, Panda, for following us. Panda. We appreciate it. Recruiter Times. I know we're starting to see you more in here, so welcome. I guess. Thank you for your support. And that's it. You got anything for me, Flash? Are you good?
No, I got. I'm just looking at the rest of my beer, going, "Yes, we're going to finish this tonight."
All right, y'all have a good night, and Space Force shouts.
Shouts.
Trump can assume the intergalactic throne. He surveyed the universe and said, let's make all of this our own. He commissioned a group of soldiers, take upon their shoulders a daunting task of relentless fear to make conquest of the last frontier. Now here we are enlisted for the glory of our nation. To say that we're the best would be an under-exaggeration. Prepared for combat with an alien race to kick their asses right in the face. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. They say that they've discovered life up there on Mars, so let's blow it all to hell and then claim it for ours. We'll paint the moon red, white, and blue for no other reason than we wanted to. Oh, Jupiter, imagine what you could become. A stupid, pointless planet turned into a giant gun. And Russia, so sorry, have to burst your bubble. Be a good sport, now sit back, relax, and watch us through the hubble as we celebrate the greatness of the United Planet of America. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Now we'll go to infinity and beyond, beyond. You'll hear our manly voices singing Space Force strong. The critics say sound doesn't travel in space, to which we reply sound will do as we say. Oh, Captain Kirk, your achievements, though notable and fine, as far as we're concerned, this is Deep Space Mine. And big fans, but Lord Vader, step away from the lightsaber. There can only be one, of course. Space Force. Ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, dum, 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 ra-da-da-da-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da, ra-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-da-dum, dum, 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 dum. Space Force, Space Force, we'll saddle up our intergalactic horse and we'll ride into the sun, yes, into the sun, where we'll take the day by planting a flag right there at its source. Space Force. Space Force.
Good evening, boys and girls. This is Tim Kennedy. I'm a Special Forces sniper, a Ranger qualified Green Beret, a UFC fighter. Please listen to us and the shenanigans that we're going to say. We will insult you. There will be racial slurs. We will be sexist. We will offend you. But there will be magic, and a unicorn will be raped. So enjoy the show. Thank you for listening on WTF Nation Radio.